while your day is winding down. They're just getting started. This is South Coast Tonight with Chris McCarthy and Marcus Farrow. They've got you covered on all the news of the day, from local issues to politics on both sides of the aisle. This is the place where the movers and shakers come to be heard, to listen, and where they're held accountable. This is South Coast Tonight on WBSM.
Welcome back to the show. I'm Marcus. 508-996-0500 is how you get in the program. Last hour of the show, do want to talk about a few things. I see some calls online. We'll get to them. I do want to talk about a few things. The one thing I do want to talk about is Biden's visit to Boston and what it means for the Georgia Senate race. I think it's an important topic. The Georgia Senate runoff is tomorrow. So 508-996-0500 is how you get in the program. Good evening.
Good evening, Marcus. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Hey, good. Listen, for some people that live in New Bedford, can you map out what Ward 3 is located?
Yeah, sure. So basically, Ward 3, it's a weird ward because I think Jack Splain said this best. It's not defined really by a particular neighborhood. Like Ward 5 is mostly Buttonwood Park, right? And Ward 6 is the Peninsula. So Ward 3 is Cogswell Street, right? The Hicks-Logan area, so Wamsutta Lofts and the neighborhoods around that, Sawyer Street and all of that. Going up to Mount Pleasant Street. Now, it's most of Mount Pleasant Street. And then it starts at where Shawmut Ave and Hathaway Road. So basically all of Hathaway Road and down to where Wonder Bowl and Building 19 are. So that is basically Ward 3. So basically it goes from Cogswell Street, if you can kind of picture it in your head, from Cogswell Street, and then it cuts from Mount Pleasant Street, Cogswell Street, Mount Pleasant Street, Shawmut Ave, all the way up and down Hathaway Road, basically the entirety of Hathaway Road, and probably ends about where Mount Pleasant Street gets into like the past the liquor store, right? So right where the liquor store is, I think is probably the end of Ward 3. So I think Nash Road, I think is. Nash Road I don't think is Ward 3, but right where that liquor store is, Nauset Street, that area, that's all Ward 3. So comes up from Cogswell Street, goes up through Hathaway Road is the best way to describe it.
Where the old Building 19 is.
Yeah, where the old Building 19 is. In fact, I remember in the special election last 6 years ago, one of the primary issues in that election was what is going to happen with Building 19. That was one of the primary issues, is what's going to happen with Building 19.
Yeah, I think there's a big sign there, like soon to build right now. So I don't know if there's something going on there as well. I mean, there's rumors that a Walmart was going to go there, too.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. Walmart, I don't know if it could make sense, I guess. I mean, there is a Walmart in Fairhaven, but the Walmart in Fairhaven is actually the smallest Walmart in the country. And there is obviously a bigger Walmart in Dartmouth and one in Wareham. I don't know if Walmart there makes a lot of sense. It would certainly kill the two grocery stores there. You have Price right there, and then you have that other smaller grocery store, I believe, that's right near the liquor store.
Yeah, Save a Lot, I think, yeah.
Yeah, Save a Lot.
Walmart doesn't care about the small.
Oh no, they definitely don't. They definitely don't. But just talking about the economic impact of that, if there was a Walmart there, I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, that's true too. And also too, do you know? I mean, I know there's a train. Do you know where the train station is going to have to be? Where in Because the one in New Bedford's on Church Street. Is that where?
Yeah, there's going to be one on Church. There's going to be one on Church Street, and I believe there's a platform near Wamsutta Mills as well that's being built. But I think the first, I think the first one's on Church Street. That's my understanding.
Right.
Yeah.
Wamsutta Mills. Where is that located? Can refresh my memory?
Wamsutta Mills is in Ward 3. It's just off of Cogswell Street. So basically, if you're going, let's say you're going down Cogswell Street from Fairhaven. You can take a left at you can take a left at the first set of lights there where, no, not the first set of lights. First set of lights is 195. Second set of lights, you can take a left and you take a right and you're basically there. Or you can take...
Okay, where the end zone is, right? Yeah.
Yeah, right around. So Wamsutta Mills is essentially right behind end zone. It's a very big it's a very, very big apartment complex. A lot of people do live there. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I see. Yeah, that's why if you look around, Marcus, like even where Bill 19 is, they did sidewalks, they did really big lighting there.
Yeah.
It's because they want people to actually walk to the train station. And I believe, like you said, it's going to be really good for the city because, I mean, I've done a lot of commutes to Boston. And before, it used to be like a good hour and 10 minutes, but now it's so congested. It's a good hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah.
And people say, oh, the train's going to take long. But you know what? You're just as long as in your car, frustrated, stop and go. And if there's an accident, forget it. That's 3 hours.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Even longer. And plus, if you're on the train, you get to, if you're like going to work, you get to do work. You can listen to you can just kind of sit and leisurely commute to Boston instead of being in the car, being in that traffic, having to always be attentive, constantly tapping your brakes. Like there's so much like stimulus for frustration when you're commuting, when you're doing that commute to Boston. It's significantly easier to just take the train if it's available.
Right, and I just hope to keep the fares low enough that people can afford to make sense. Because if anybody thinks of Boston and they've gone to some type of show of Boston, it's like $40-50 just to park your car in one of those garages.
Yeah,
and with the price going up now on gasoline, hopefully they'll keep those prices pretty low round trip. That will make it easy access, and it'll make it make sense for people to go on the train.
It's I think it's one of the issues that they need to, if they really want to maximize the potential of SouthCoast Rail, they do need to address the fairly high fare cost. One of the issues, I talked about this a long time ago, but one of the things they need to do is have like some sort of sliding scale fee system for people who are who have less resources, of less means, be able to apply for like a sliding scale fee so that it may cost a lot less to or even be free, so that people can ride it, because otherwise it does. I mean, there are packages you can buy to if you're a regular daily commuter, but it's still fairly expensive. You know, it's going to be, I think it's, you know, if it's, let's say it's $15 both ways, right? That's not, you know, that's not tenable for a lot of people, just paying $30. It's, I guess, cheaper than driving up to Boston, but there's a lot of people that they can't access it that way anyway because of the expense and all of that. So they do need to, if they want to maximize the potential of SouthCoast Rail and rail service everywhere, they need to look into how to make those costs a lot more manageable for people who don't necessarily have the resources.
Yeah, and a good point too, Marcus, because if people pay attention to the delays, it's usually in between the orange line, the green line, that people have problems. But the commuter rail barely has any type of delays. They run pretty well,
yeah,
as far as like on time versus like the orange line, green line, silver line. Those are the ones that usually have more problems than the commuter rail itself.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's, I mean, a lot of that, like I said, Healy, I don't know if she if it was a plan of hers, but there, you know, obviously there's going to be a new MBTA manager. I've heard members of the delegation just openly say, like on the record in public, that they've already advised Healy to just fire everybody. Right? Like just everybody that's in management, because they need an entirely new perspective on how the MBTA is run, or an entirely new management system. Because, yeah, obviously, you know, when you have a train catch on fire and all that, that's a big issue. Now, they have fixed that. I think they are, it's something that they're going to work really hard on and put a lot of resources into. But it's definitely there's a lot. Like, it's good that it's going to get here, the train, but there's still a lot of work that needs to be done to make sure this train can really bring the most amount of development to this area as possible.
But the devil's advocate to that is like, okay, now it's going to bring more resource to New Bedford, which maybe the rent could start going even higher.
Yeah.
And people have...
The rent issue's tough. The rent issue's tough. I mean, for people that own homes in New Bedford, they're going to see, obviously, a significant amount of value in their home, which is a positive economic, development for them. But the rent issue is going to be tough. But you'd hope with, more development in the area, there'll be more opportunities for jobs both here and in Boston, and that there'll be a lot more opportunity for people to have a job where they can get a livable wage and be able to afford, higher rents. Like a sort of a rising tide lifts all boats type of, philosophy behind that.
I wonder if they can put a time restriction on when can those trains go, because I wonder if they're able to run to like midnight or able to catch a train at midnight or something like that into Boston from New Bedford.
My understanding is the latest train you can catch, I think, from Boston is around 11:30-ish. I don't know. Typically, commuter rails aren't that late, but I think that would be great. I think there's concerns. The concerns would be obviously people who live around there and the sound of a train coming in at those times.
Yeah, the thing is, they got that. But if you talk to real estate, if you live in the area where you have a train going behind or in front of your house every hour or so with that noise, I'm not sure if it would be a desirable place to live if you lived on that Church Street.
Well, people who might take the train to work would probably deal with it. I think that would probably be it. But people who didn't could just sell their house. It would the cost will definitely go up. The value will definitely go up being close to a means of commuting to Boston for sure.
And let's talk about where usually a train station usually has some type of house development around the train station. If you look at the Lakeville Middleborough one, the train started going to, and they have a multi-complex area right by the train station for, I'm not sure if it might be low-income families or...
Lakeville?
Yeah.
No, that's definitely not a low income. I know some people that live there. Definitely not low income. That's actually, I would say, more of a higher income area. People live around there, but all those places are bought up. And that's been a big positive development for that Lakeville area. There's been a lot of housing that's been built over there at that station. Mostly more market rate stuff. Definitely not low income, more market rate stuff. But yeah, for sure.
And the thing that where Chamberlain is right now, that building is basically non-existent. And there was talk maybe if they could actually turn that Chamberlain building to a big housing facility.
Yeah.
For apartment buildings, because that goes right along the train station route.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, obviously, housing stock's a big issue, too. They need to improve on that, and I think they're looking into that's one of the solutions is getting a...
Yeah, it's good stuff. I'm pretty excited about it, and especially I like to go into Boston a lot, especially in the summer or watch.
Yeah.
Like, if you go to an event, a concert, or a game, you're going to pay $50 for a parking garage.
Right,
and
no.
If you're running late, you're not going to be able to find a parking spot, and you're going to pay big bucks, and next thing you know, you can't get out. You don't wait for anybody to get out of the parking garage.
I'll probably go to more Celtics games if the train's available. I like going to Celtics games, but it's just an incredible pain. So I'd probably go to a lot more Celtics games for sure, and even some Red Sox games. I went to a Red Sox game last year, and it was a lot of fun. So I'll probably go to a lot more games if there's an easier access to Boston for sure.
Right, and if you get the parking, I mean, that's a big parking lot there by U-Haul, the new U-Haul places there on Church Street, where you'll have a lot of parking spots for parking your car there and stuff like that instead. And now, and the thing about that, it goes right into South Station where a lot of people go in the city. There's a lot of taxi drivers there. There's a lot of Uber drivers there. So it's like if you don't want to, it's a station where it's really, really busy, where you can hop on or get a taxi or Uber driver and take you to where you need to go.
Absolutely. Hey, I'm going to hold you there. There's some other calls on the line, but thank you for the call. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcus. Bye-bye.
508-996-0500. We got some calls on the line. We're going to take them. Good evening.
Hey, Marcus. How you doing
today?
Tom,
what's up?
Well, I was reading the paper today with changing of the guide in the Community Development Office with Josh Amaral. I think that, that this guy's a brilliant guy, judging from just his work on the school committee.
I'm such a big Josh Amaral fan. I really am. I'm such a big Josh Amaral fan.
Yeah, he's terrific.
Yeah.
Terrific.
He when I had him on, he is one of the out of all the electeds in the city, he is one of the most well-spoken guys for sure. And I think in the school committee had a real firm grasp on those issues. And he was assistant executive director of PACE. So he's helping a lot with a lot of those issues in the city, a lot of the neighborhood development issues in the city already. I think it's a great fit, a great hire, and I think he's going to do an excellent job.
Yeah, terrific. So I wanted to give him some kudos tonight and thank Mr. Sullivan for his efforts over the years, too. He was pretty good, too.
Oh, absolutely, for sure.
Yeah. The other one was Kathy Dana tonight. I think she was involved way back with the Wamsutta apartment complex that was being built. I think that was during her era. And what I like about her is, the contiguous nature of Ward 3. It's that constant mix of commercial real estate, regular businesses, and then single family. I think she's in a position to win this thing.
She's won before, so.
Yep, given the amount of votes coming out.
Yeah.
I've always appreciated her position. I think she had businesses downtown on top of that. So that commitment to the community over the years, to me, is an important thing.
Yeah.
If I was in Ward 3 to vote. So I'm sort of leaning toward her at this point in time.
Interesting.
And then the field is good. The other thing was we have your Madeiran friend who is being offered a contract by Saudi Arabia. I don't know if you heard that.
Oh, yeah, I know. I heard Ronaldo. Saudi Arabia is, they've made a significant impact in the international golfing game. So I guess they're looking to take on soccer, too, and they certainly have the financing to do that.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought I saw a $211 million estimate of what he was going to be paid, but I wasn't sure whether it was $21 million transfer fee in soccer. Would they have to do if a club has a contract with a guy, and Manchester United had it with him, they have to pay a transfer fee to assume the guy's contract so the club doesn't get hurt financially. So I wasn't sure if it was $21 million transfer fee or if it was a $211 million contract that Saudi Arabian club was offering him. But we'll find out more about that tomorrow as Portugal takes on Switzerland, which is going to be one heck of a game.
What's your prediction?
Well, judging from what I see from Portugal at this point and the way the Swiss play similar to Germany, but they don't have the speed that they need to beat Portugal. I'm just hoping the coach realizes that Pepe can't be in the back line for an extended period of time. I noticed in previous game other teams were working his side of the field because he's a little bit slow. The guy's 38 or something like that.
Right.
And he just doesn't have the speed, so that could hurt him a little bit. And Ronaldo has to shine. Every other superstar in this World Cup tournament has shown what they can do. Messi's shown what he could do. Neymar today with Brazil.
Right.
The great ones, even I can't pronounce his name properly, from France, Magpé,
sure.
The young guy, the superstar there. So if Ronaldo shows his stuff, then Portugal will win. But I'm telling you, it's going to be a battle. It isn't going to be an easy game for him. Bruno Fernandes is going to have a big role in this, and because he can cut you up real easy, right. Is the best way to say it, and penetrate your defense. So that one we'll be watching. And last but not least, what I was going to comment on, there was one more. No, slipped my mind.
Okay.
anyway, that's where I am today, and it's Monday. You guys going to be doing some more on Kennedy, right? On the assassination.
When Chris comes in, we've got some more planned. We've got a big guest that we're trying to get in on that, but we're still working on it. So.
Yeah, the thing about the Republican Party in this state is absolutely true. You know, I've always grown up where the conservative end of things was a position and a platform that they took in terms of just about everything, financial, balanced budgets, you know, getting people off welfare, things of that nature. And then when you look back at it, that was basically President Clinton's platform. So he even stole the thunder there for them. But they're in trouble in this state for sure. And I think it's reverberating nationwide, and some type of leadership has to come up. And I think the biggest thing to do that is to dissolve the Trumpism attitude of how government works and constitutional issues and stuff like that. And in this state, it's just almost sad the way that they performed in this last election. But somehow they'll come back. But it's going to take them a while, you know.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's a matter of, like I said before, ground up coalition building that takes a very long time.
Yeah. All right, man. Hang in there.
All right. See ya. So 508-996-0500. Let's go back to the... caller just dropped off. But all right, if you want to call back, you can at 508-996-0500. Also taking your message on the app chat. Spurrier from New Bedford said, Lyons needs to go. He can't produce. Hashtag bye Felicia. Yeah, no, it's true that he can't produce. Obviously, he's not an effective leader for the Republican Party. It's not all his fault, though. I think messaging is going to be important. And I think Massachusetts Republican Party, whoever they have as their next leader, whether it be Amy Carnevale or somebody else, needs to present a message that is less Trumpian and more like what works, more Charlie Baker-esque in terms of the Republican Party is more of the business party, right? The more of the fiscal conservative stuff. I think that works for a lot of people. I think that works for a lot of Massachusetts Republicans who have had success here. And I think you have to present it as more saying, you know, independent of the, you know, typical. I'm an independent voice on Beacon Hill, something like that. That's a lot better than what they're going with now. They've went in that direction of, you know, with like Rayla Campbell and all that. They've went in that direction of culture war-y stuff. And so, yeah, Lyons needs to go for the Massachusetts Republican Party to move forward. But there also needs to be, I think, more cohesive messaging. I do agree with Spurrier in New Bedford. He does need to go, but I think there needs to be better messaging from the Republican Party. I think that, you know, I think the platform hasn't gone well. So we'll see. But 508-996-0500. We'll take a break and then we'll be right back. This is South Coast Tonight. I'm Marcus here on 1420 WBSM. Welcome back to the show. I'm Marcus. 508-996-0500 is how you get in the program. It's some calls that dropped off. I don't know if you want to call back, you can. Saw a couple of them drop off. But also taking your messages on the WBSM app chat. But so we're talking about some local issues, you know, the Ward 3 race, SouthCoast Rail, that, you know, we've been talking about. You know, the Royals visited Boston, but at the same time, President Biden visited Boston as well. And I think it was pretty important because what he visited Boston for was basically to raise money for Raphael Warnock, Senator Raphael Warnock in Georgia. If you're unfamiliar with the race, I doubt you are, but just in case you are, tomorrow is the Georgia Senate runoff between Raphael Warnock and the current senator in Georgia and Herschel Walker, the challenger football guy for Georgia. So basically in Georgia, if you don't get 50% of the vote, it goes to a runoff. They have an extra runoff election. And Warnock was leading slightly ahead of on election day, but he didn't get 50%. So it's going to the runoff. The runoff is tomorrow. Warnock is largely expected to win that race. The polling has him ahead. He is the incumbent senator. Herschel Walker is a pretty horrendous candidate. So Warnock is likely to win, but it's still an important race for a few reasons. One, because it'll give Warnock a full 6-year term in the Senate. So Georgia will have 2 Democratic senators for the next at least 6 or so years. John Ossoff. Well, John Ossoff was elected to a full term initially. Warnock was just elected to serve out the remainder of, I believe it's Senator Perdue's term in Georgia. So what Biden came to Boston for was basically to raise money. And I think they raised over $1 million. They did a lot of phone banking for Georgia. I think he went to I don't think he went to a Boston Electrical Workers Union in Georgia, to a Boston Electrical Workers Union in Georgia to, basically kick off a phone bank. Senator Markey and Warren were there. And the reason it's important is because it gives Democrats a 51-seat majority, which means Kamala Harris doesn't need to be a tie-breaking vote, which means in a lot of ways that Joe Manchin can't gum things up. Now a coalition of Joe Manchin and like another senator could. But it makes passing things through the Democratic Senate a lot more fluid. Now, there's still the problem with the House Republicans because they're going to have to gavel and thus logjam everything that comes through. But for cabinet nominees, judicial nominees, et cetera, and for maintaining a Senate majority in 2024 when the Democrats have a tough Senate map, it's very important. 508-996-0500. Good evening.
Hi, good evening.
How you doing?
Good. When we're talking about the train, I've been around since before the Silver City Galleria. The train was coming. They built the Galleria. The Galleria lived a wonderful, robust life and died, and the train still didn't get here. So, so what I'm saying is it's a new dynamic. I'm talking 20th century, and now it's a quarter way into the 21st century, and the train is coming.
Yeah.
So my opinion is, now that I'm in my 70s, I don't think I'm going to need it the way I did.
I'm sorry.
Way I did a million years ago.
Yeah.
So, So my question really is, maybe not even a question. I'm going to ride it. I am. If there's a pickup in Taunton, because I can't get hands on a schedule. Because I'm not interested in a straight shot to Boston. I'd like to drop off somewhere along the way and do some shopping in a different town or whatever. It's not all about me making a paycheck in Boston.
Yeah.
And I also want amenities. Is this going to have a cot where you can eat? Is it going to be adult beverages on the train? Is it going to be a decent experience so that as in my older age, I can enjoy a ride?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, it might. I'm not entirely sure. I mean, I don't think the Middleborough train has any amenities like that.
Nothing. No, I ride that. There's nothing there.
Yeah.
It's a cattle drive. You get on it's a cattle car. You get on it, you shut up, you sit down.
It gives you its primary function, which is getting you to Boston without having to drive.
Yeah, it's very basic. That's exactly, you just put it in concisely. But what I called about was term limits, and that's very important to me because the conversation come up again here, because we're talking about judges being elected. But
term limits for whom?
For legislature on Beacon Hill. And I said, it's a ridiculous argument. And what the hell are you talking about? I said, look, you incentivize it. You give out pensions per diem. You give out everything, Cadillac health care plans.
Yeah.
When you do that, don't talk term limits to me.
Yeah,
you're approaching it the wrong way. Disincentivize it. Make it truly public service, and people will not hang around. They'll get in, do their job because they really got a job to do, and they'll get out.
Here's the thing with that. You want to make it a good, attractive job because you want people with certain qualifications to have those jobs. They're really important and difficult jobs.
No, I don't. I think you'll get the best and the brightest without all this pension and carrot and stick and all this.
I don't know. The thing is,
you think people are that low grade that they got to be incentivized to in the name of
no, I don't think low grade. No, I think there'll still be some dutiful public servants that will do the job because they love it. But I don't think, especially across the Commonwealth where everybody has to go to Boston for a period of time, I don't think you're going to do it paying somebody pennies and not giving them a pension or health care benefits.
That's a damn shame that nobody's got any civic pride or state pride.
I think they have civic pride, but I think there's also a matter of wanting to have a sustainable lifestyle. And in order to do that, to commute to Boston regularly and be there for, sometimes they're there for 12, 13 hours a day and doing all the work they do, plus the work they do in the district. I think you have to, I think you have to incentivize that with good pay and good benefits. I don't think you could bank on civic pride. I think the people that serve now do have civic pride. I think the people in our delegation definitely have civic pride.
Then let's square it. Let's get it square, and it's not public service. It's a business, and people got needs, and it's got to be set up with a pension. It's got to be set up with all kinds of gas card. It's got to be set up with parking areas for you. It's got to be set up. But let's square it. It's not public service. It's a business. I represent you, and that's it. Because I'm sick of this crap about, we're going to have term limits. You're offering everybody a giant pie at the end of a short rainbow.
I think the whole conversation on term limits for legislatures is difficult anyway, because you're going to ask an absolute majority, if not a super majority of people to vote themselves out of a job. I think that's difficult.
But would you hear me on this, though? Most of the people that are in there, and this is a fact, we can't argue with facts, and it's a fact. 2/3 of them are in real estate or they're lawyers.
Yeah, that's probably true.
So where the hell's the need for what you just said?
Well, I think lawyers is I think obviously
the brightest when they already are on top.
I think having lawyers is being a lawyer is a valuable skill set for lawmaking. Right? I think having lawyers at a factory is also good too. Might eliminate OSHA. But the thing is that nobody's going to do that, and I'm telling you, incentivizing real estate agents and lawyers in the name of public service, it's just another giddy up. Again, I think our delegation, are dutiful. I think there's a lot of people up there, and there's some people that aren't up there for the right reasons. I think most people that are up there for the right reasons. Hey, I got to hold you there because I got calls on the line. I appreciate you calling in, though. Thank you very much. 508-996-0500. Good evening.
Hey, good evening.
How you doing?
All right. How are you? Let's see. What I'm going to talk about. Herschel Walker is a complete idiot.
Yeah.
I hope he does not win, even though it's sure. Well, we don't want him in the Senate. He really has no experience or any idea what he's doing. I think he's brain damaged.
Yeah. I think it's He's a bad candidate. He doesn't make a lot of sense, and he's got a really sordid past that's troubling, I think, for a lot of voters to reconcile.
All I can think of is that old Disney cartoon, Zippity-doo-dah, zippity-doo.
Yeah, I hear you, for sure.
Oh, one more thing. I'm glad Hodgkinson lost. I didn't think he was going to... I actually thought he was going to win, but I'm glad he lost. I did vote against him.
I remember you calling in and telling him that on the air.
Yeah, well, I think who will be better. I think, I don't know, it seemed like a lot of people out here didn't like him, but he did have the supporters. I know that.
It was a close election, so some people liked him.
But a lot of people around the city do not like that man.
Oh, well, clearly, clearly a lot of people I agree, a lot of people in the city didn't like him. He lost the city by 5,000 votes. So, yeah, that's true. But it was Fall River, but he still, most of the count, I'd say, it was a slim majority. It was a close race. So I think saying, no, not everybody didn't like him, I think is probably a stretch. But definitely people in New Bedford didn't like him in Fall River as well. Hey, I got to hold you there because I got to take this break, but I appreciate you calling in.
Good night.
You as well. Hey, if you're on the line, stay on the line, 508-996-0500.
Download the WBSM app and listen to us everywhere. One's on the left, the other on the right. But they're both ready to call it right down the middle. More of Marcus and Chris on South Coast Tonight, here on WBSM.
Hey, welcome back. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening.
Good evening, Marcus. How are we doing?
Good. How's it going?
Well, hanging in there. Marcus, do you think in the future that President Biden will run again?
Yeah, probably. I think
He'll be 80 what at that time?
He was 77 when he was elected. So was he 77?
I don't know. I think he'll go ahead.
I think he'll be 81 or 82.
81. Okay. Now again, looking in the news, Christy McVie died in she's 79 or something like that. Christy Alley.
Christy Alley just died at 71. Yeah. She had cancer.
So again, they're playing in the 70s. We're playing in the fourth quarter. And when you talk about President Biden and even Donald Trump, they're in sudden death overtime.
Yeah.
You know, I would hope that the parties would convince both of these people to step aside and yet let a younger generation take over.
I don't know if the optics look as good for Biden. I don't know if the optics more broadly look as good. I think it should happen. I think he should, but I don't know if the optics look as good as saying, okay, well, this guy can't run, this guy can't lead, so let's get somebody else.
He would have to say like himself, like President Johnson did during the Vietnam War. I'm not going to spend 1 minute campaigning and not trying to bring this war to an end. They would have to find something like that Biden has an initiative that he's going for, and he's just going to step aside.
I mean, I think that's fine. You could say, I've accomplished what I want to accomplish. We got ARPA done. We got the infrastructure done. We've built back better, and say all that stuff. Talk about the legislative accomplishments they had, the things that he wanted to do that he did, and then say move on. It's time for somebody else to lead. I could see that.
Who would you see in the next generation that might? In the Democratic Party. Don't tell me Hillary Clinton, please.
No, definitely not. I would say Gretchen Whitmer has been floated as somebody, the governor of Michigan, has been floated as somebody who could, has been reelected twice in Michigan, a state that they need. I think is pretty personable. I think was pretty easily reelected. Gavin Newsom, somebody that they put forward. I don't know if Gavin Newsom plays as well nationally. I think that J.B. Pritzker, honestly, I think could. I think he's got the money to finance it, to finance a presidential run. I would say out of people, Kamala Harris too. Kamala Harris actually leads presidential polling in Democratic primaries minus Biden. But Kamala Harris, my one reservation with Kamala Harris, which is why I'd lean more towards somebody like Whitmer than Harris, is that Kamala Harris ran a national campaign and failed miserably. So I don't see her honestly as a viable candidate. I'd lean more towards a governor like Whitmer than somebody like than Vice President Harris. To be honest with you.
Names you just mentioned, the only one I know of is Kamala Harris. And
that's the other problem. That's the other thing is name ID. That's basically why Joe Biden won. It was name ID. He's the guy who's been around the longest.
They got him buried in the cellar, so he didn't come out during the COVID, and they managed. That was the
but everybody knew him.
The basement campaign.
He's been around for 50. Yeah, he's been around for 50 years. He was the vice president,
and they could do that. But I'm still looking for that young Democratic person to come forward that like Obama did at the time when he did it. Everybody went, I think, he's intelligent, he's smart, he hasn't been around that long, and that helped him because he didn't have a record. So
I always say that's when you strike while the iron's hot. You strike while the iron's hot.
I just don't see Joe Biden continue, and hopefully the Republicans can get Trump out of there too, because he's just too controversial.
I don't think they. I don't think they. I don't think they will. I think he's going to win the nomination. I really do.
They're afraid of him. That's what it boils down to. They're afraid he's going to call them some names, and they won't have anything to come back on. And the man has really hurt this country because what he does, he doesn't do for the country. He's doing it for his own personal self. It's just sad.
I agree. I just think the majority of the base that's going to vote in the Republican Party still really likes him. He absolutely dominates every poll against DeSantis.
Well, again, though, where are the other Republican presidents like Bush, to come forward and say, hey, this
I'd argue, honestly, I'd argue Bush is a lot more disastrous than Donald Trump was.
No, but I don't think he was trying to do it to promote himself. I think in his own way, he wanted to try to help the country. That sort of stuff. Who else do we have? Look to the Republican presidents. Reagan's gone, right?
Reagan's been gone. Yeah,
he's been gone. But
Yeah.
again, at his time, he was, I think,
He was the
right
oldest.
for the
He
time.
was actually the oldest president elected before at 69 years old.
Yes,
Yeah.
I know. And in today's world where things move so fast, having an older person there, I see Joe Biden move around, and I'm in my 70s, and geez, I move better than him.
Yeah.
You know, and again, there are no other Republican presidents around.
Listen, I think both parties would definitely would benefit from having a fresher perspective.
Yes.
I agree. Hey, listen, I'm up against this break.
Okay,
I got to
my
let you
friend,
go. But
okay, you have a good night.
you as well.
14.
Can maybe fit this phone call in. Good evening.
Yeah, I just want to say really quick, if Trump does run again, well, he is going to run, but he's going to lose. I think there's